this is 012 and...
Padre Jackass at your service, my child.
And, I know I didn't get my gloves on full character, but I'm not going to worry about it this time. I'm not going to do it full video, so next time, hopefully I'll have that ready.
No tiny mini skirts for you.
Well, no worries. I'll just...
Tiny mini skirts. Yeah. We haven't gotten there yet.
Ooh la la. There we go. As that looked crappy because that's what my hand was in, and those gloves are so small, the fingers always get messed up. But either way, we're here with another review on the original, and there go my notes. I'll grab those again in a sec. Fullmetal Alchemist. Yes. We are on the next episode. Excuse me a minute.
Hey. What an episode this one was.
Yes, absolutely. And I will basically start us off this time talking about what I liked about it. And yeah, it's called Episode 4, A Forager's Love. And essentially with this one, I mean, there was quite a bit to like about it. Didn't really move the needle forward too much for me, but it was a great thing of what Edward and Alphonse could have saw if they kept going to resurrect their mother, because, they head out after burning their house down, and, they go to this town, do some good by catching a criminal, and then they run into this alchemist, Majahal, who's the guy in the town, and, they go to this town because they're curious, because there's apparently people being killed, ghost sightings, and this guy Majahal, who was in Hohenheim's notes, who they go to visit, and, they talk to this guy, and they basically see how, this guy knows his thing of alchemy, but then, he admonishes them because they ask, well, do you know human transmutation? Because, by the way, you should mention that Majahal picked up that Alphonse's soul was in the armor, and he wasn't a real person in there, so he picked up on that right away, and I think Majahal and Hohenheim, Elric had or just Hohenheim, I forgot Van Hohenheim, yeah, because Elric, they took their mother's name, I keep forgetting about that, but Hohenheim, essentially, I guess him and Majahal were friends at some point. At least that's what they were painting, that these two knew each other for some time. And, he knows that they did the transmutation of human. And, he's like, well, you shouldn't do that. That goes against God's creed. So, a little disappointed. But then they learn through a little girl named Klaus who wants vengeance for her sister who died, as you heard me talk about in the short review. Wants, the Elric to help, Majahal to help, but he's not going to do it. But the thing is, as you go along, ghosts appear, more of that keeps happening. He's doing this for his former love, Corinne, who is the disguised, I think I actually put Lebby. That's who Corinne is. She's under the new name of Lebby because she lost her memories. And, he's doing it to bring back Corinne, so basically all this ghosting and stuff is his fault, and he wants to do transmutation. He failed at human transmutation, kidnaps the Elrics at some point, wants them to do it, and, he's trying to, he's been killing women in the town and transporting their souls into puppets, so, but, obviously, as you can tell that from what I talked about in the short review, they stop him, and again, that's what I sort of like what this does, is it shows how they could have went down that road, and they reflect on it, and they reflect on, who they have, and the relationship they have with Quaz, which is another thing I liked, was great, because there's this whole thing where kids keep attacking him, Edward's back keeps getting hurt, and they didn't play that up in Japanese, but in English, hearing like, and I go, my back!
Well, and I love that little pitfall trip, because it's like Team Rocket's blasted up. Oh, we actually succeeded this time.
Well, yeah, well, it makes me wonder if they didn't run into it, if that puppet would have been heavy enough to fall into it. It makes me wonder if that would have succeeded, because you gotta think, Majahal was right there when Quaz was gonna try to attack the damn thing, which was there enough, and again, so was Lost, and it's like, Majahal's too big alchemist after all, and it's just like, it goes into all those things, but again, that's what I loved about it, because you see how Majahal just goes mad with grief that he lost Corinne, and Lebby being Corinne, who hurt her head, had amnesia, but then remembered and came back and was basically helping this guy by his side, and also knew what Majahal was doing. So I'm going to say, sadly for Corinne too, as much as she's in anguish over losing Majahal, who killed himself because when Edward, as I said, takes the rose, turns it into a whip, knocks it out of his hand, and goes right into his stomach, which, again, why Mahal didn't move was beyond me, but oh well. Story plot line, and yeah, that's probably my biggest stuff with this episode, is like, it's spinning in the fucking air, and you're just like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die now. But
no, better still, I'm in danger.
Yeah, but well, hey, but you get that. So I'm gonna say it had to suck for Corinne Levy too, because since she knew about it, she's probably gonna go to jail because there's no way she couldn't be because she's an accomplice to that. But
aiding and abetting.
Well, yeah, and well, something tells me she probably gladly did too, because knowing how she even said to Mahal near the end, no, I can't abide by this anymore. This is going on too long. I can't turn a blind eye to this. Where you should shut up if you're not going to be abusive. And then it's like, again, just those types of things. So that's what I loved about this episode overall. Is it really Mahal really showed the Elrics, and Alphonse is the one who says it near the end about how, we could see alchemy's dark side, or we could see how we could have been like Mahal. Alphonse even alludes to that because, it's funny how in the beginning they see the good alchemy can do, but they're also seeing, again, the evil alchemy can spread when you're desperate and wanting something enough. Even though Corinne was always there with him, he wanted it at no chance, and he died loving the puppet.
What I love about how Alphonse said it, though, and I can't remember if he said it in both Japanese and English, but I remember him definitely saying it in a way in the Japanese version was like, I see now how alchemy can blind or hypnotize people, or how it can lead people down like a falsehood.
Yeah, I think that was more the Japanese, because I think it was a little different in English. I know he didn't say it exactly that way, but it alluded to the same thing.
Because it's true. It's like any other thing, it can be used for good, it can be used for evil. It's really the intent of the user.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like some of the rants we did about gun violence and some of the earlier ones.
Yeah.
And I have to make this joke since Corinne is like one consonant away from being Karen. This is a man who died from being whipped because of his obsession with a Karen.
Well,
I went there. And plus, the fact that when she's young and pretty, her name is Karine, and then when she gets old and fat, gets amnesia, she starts going by Letty. Where have I heard that before? Letty. Oh, Letty White Rock from Toho Project, who also has a bit of an association with death, and also being misunderstood by the fans, but there was a lot of interesting shit, like the blue rose symbology, for instance.
Yeah.
Like, number one, how badass is it? Edward just plucks out a rose from her hair, turns it into a whip, and just knocks that epi out of his hands.
And what I noticed, just to say into that really quick joke, if you have anything more you want to say about the episode, I'll watch you in a minute, but I noticed how, because I didn't mention this in the short review, but I noticed how, he's drawing symbols still. He's not using his hands to do that. He's still, and I know, again, in the manga, Truth gave him and Alphonse the knowledge that they both learn at this point in the show that we're at in Brotherhood for it, but I actually like how God didn't let them see the truth. They were just punished for going in the door, and they still have to use it, but I love how the pocket watch is a qualifier, and that's Edward's qualifier with his automail to do that. I know people say, well, that still doesn't make sense. I'm like, if you think about it, it's sort of the catalyst, so I sort of like it that way, even though it totally doesn't make sense. But again,
well, to me,
even stuff in Brotherhood fully doesn't make sense either, so...
Well, to compare it to, like, X-Men, it would be like that time when they tried to stick that belt on Iceman that he couldn't take off that was supposed to take away his powers, and then he just got so angry he mentally pushed himself past that barrier and he went from snow to ice.
Yeah, well, I think you even mentioned that during this review, so yeah, absolutely. But yeah, anything more you want to add with your favorite stuff, Jared?
Oh, a lot, believe it. I mean, like, number one, Klaus, the little tomboy in this episode. Klaus, sorry, She reminds me a lot of that new Lois Lane, She dresses like a boy at the beginning, right down to the newsboy cap. She's got darker skin, and then, once the bad man's been caught and she knows the truth, she puts on this cute little dress, and they're like, hey, you should dress more like a girl more often. You're pretty cute like that. And you see how much it makes her happy. It's just, I love stuff like that, you know? I just love little things. And dear God, there's a lot to go over. Like, number one, blue roses. That was an obvious fucking tell, because blue roses are an actual thing, but they are some of the rarest roses in that noise he heard when he had to transmute Al's soul into the suit of armor. And it's kind of similar to the noise that the fireworks are making, because they're having a fireworks festival to, have the fireworks convey the souls of the dead to the afterlife. Actual festival thing in a lot of parts of the world. China, Ireland, Scotland, most parts of Britain. And what's interesting is, like, in the Celtic countries, part of that is, like, the idea that when you hear that sound of them shooting up to the sky, it's the soul crying out in jubilant joy, going to heaven. But on the flip side, it can also mean the opposite, too. It can also be, like, the sound of a soul that's been damned to walk this earth forever, like a will-o'-the-wisp or a jack-o'-lantern. Something torn from the natural world, but still stuck here, regardless. So it's kind of a neat thing that Edward, hears this and he instantly recognizes it, especially when he's in the mansion where the actual experiments are happening. Then there's, let's see, and this was one of my favorite ironies of this entire episode, and it was Boku who pointed this out to me. Because now we have Goku, Broly, and Trunks all in one series. And perhaps the weirdest fucking thing about this, aside from the fact that we got 3 of the biggest characters in Dragon Ball before Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Well, I think Dragon Ball came out first, and then the second show. I don't think they had gotten to the Broly movie by this point yet, but I know Dragon Ball came out first. That was 2004, and then I think this original show started 2005, 2006, so about a year or two when they started Dragon Ball for Funimation, and so that I think happened almost simultaneously. But no, it's still funny how you had Sean Schemmel, Vic Mignogna, and stuff like that, all within this sort of same episode like that.
Well, and what's funny about this is, if you really think about this, they've all switched their alignments in this one. Like, in Dragon Ball, Goku and Trunks are the heroes, Broly's the villain. In this series, Broly's the hero, and Goku and Trunks are the bad guys.
Well, if you're mentioning how also that, sorry guys, petting the dog. If you're mentioning how also, for that too, don't forget, what's his name? Christopher R. Sabat, who plays Major Louis Armstrong, who's also Piccolo. So, Piccolo / hero, or anti-hero villain, and then, Alice Louis Armstrong, my beautiful autistic alchemy.
He's just the most gentle cupcake in the entire world, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. And, it's just so you've had a lot of the original people do that. Plus, there'll be other voice actors from Dragon Ball that sprinkled in and out, like Bryce Armstrong. I think I don't know if, I think it's Yoki, who's still voiced by the same actor, which I think it's the same guy who does the voice of Goldo. And there's a few others that are in there, and then, so it's like, there's a lot of people that they've gotten for Dragon Ball to be a part of this thing that have been there, but just, did other things. Because again, and I love how everybody said, well, actually, I won't get into that. We'll probably get into that whenever we do a video on sub versus dub, but hey.
And hey, there's also...
we'll save that for that time.
There's also another, probably, what's the word? Accidental reference this show makes, like the Blue Rose in general, because, hey, coffee? Doogie likes the coffee. Yeah, Twin Peaks, Blue Rose Society.
Yep.
It's just funny how many different little things have all tied into this episode. And again, it was fun to see Edward and Elric, at the beginning of their journey when they're still kind of clumsy and awkward. They don't want to hurt these kids, and it causes them to make mistakes when they're chasing them. And, of course, Al keeps falling down on his brother. It's like, my back.
Well, yeah. Well, again, and I'll say it again, not trying to take anything away from Brotherhood. It's a great show. I've loved the first part of it. I have a respect for the first part of it. I'll probably still like the second part like I did. The action is top notch. I love it.
And plus,
but I mean, there's something better with the character building and the story building in the original. I love how, again, Brotherhood is romanticized. The original, the Journeyman's Tale.
Well, and I'd actually add 2 points to that. Like, number one, it's kind of interesting, like, just in the few episodes we've seen from the original, we've already seen Edward be far more, both Edward and Al be far more creative with their alchemy than what they are in Brotherhood. Because in Brotherhood, it's mostly forming pillars, giant fists, weapons, out of whatever materials they have. But in this one, we've seen them repair items, do complicated masonry work, create statues from dirt. We've seen them quick freeze a lake in order to keep Klaus from falling in. Even though they're not quite like at the speed proficiency they are in Brotherhood, where they just clap their hands and do it, we've seen them be far more expressive and creative in how they use what they already know.
Yeah.
And second, I have to say this is my kind of filler. This is like the Naruto character filler, where we got like whole filler, where we got like moments with like Rock Lee that really fleshed him out. Which, by the way, that's some of my favorite shit.
Which we will get to, because I do have quite a bit of Naruto, and I'm trying to collect all the original show. And I think they had all the original stuff, including all the filler that happened before Shippuden come out. And believe me, we will talk about that, because like you, I did appreciate all the fillers. So, and I know that's what a lot of people's problem is with the original Fullmetal Alchemist. For the ones who love Brotherhood the best, is that they can't stand the filler. And I absolutely love, I think, a lot of the filler episodes that they've done.
Bleach and Naruto have some of the best filler arcs.
Yes, they do.
That Bounto arc from season 3 was so great. I love that season.
Oh, absolutely, and it's great stuff. And I mean, and I guess that's part of us talking about the episode. So we'll definitely get the characters rolling here. Again, like I said last time, for me, in the short review, I'll just give a quick shout out to them, because they're usually always good. They've been good in every episode we've had so far. Edward, Vic Mignogna, Romy Paku, Alphonse, Aaron Dismuke, Rie Kugamiya. Shout out to you guys. You're always great to listen to. Your characters are good. I love the expressiveness in the original here. Again, not taking away from you, Maxie Whitehead. I think you're also a good Alphonse as well, but something about Aaron Dismuke I liked, and again, maybe it's because he's an actual kid, and I'll start with her since I said her last time, but Claus, who's played by I'm going to say Charlotte Dupont, because you could say Charlotte, but I'm betting it's Charlotte, because you don't pronounce it like it is, but Charlotte Dupont, she sounded like she was a kid too, played by, and I noticed when Funimation started, they were using real kids to play kid voices, so I gotta give Funimation credit in their original heyday using legit kids instead of going all for the female voice actresses who play them nowadays, which I can understand. If you have kids being more adult, you need adult voices to have that expressiveness. It's hard to do it, because, come on, we all can't emulate what Peanuts did back in the day in the 60s and 70s, which they were clever having kids do that too, but they had to say a lot of those lines for the kids, because the kids couldn't express it on the paper, so the adults had to repeat it. So, again, hey, I sort of get why they don't do that now, but for this time, I give them credit for doing that, for finding talented kids who can do these roles. And yeah, they may not be 100%, but there's a uniqueness to it that you don't need to be, Shakespearean with. You just need to make the point across. And I think they do that with this episode too. So, Claus, Charlotte Dupont, and Akiko Yajime, who did the Japanese voice, was very good too. And I'll give her an edge over Charlotte Dupont, because she definitely had the better expressiveness. But Charlotte Dupont was good too, so I'll give her credit as well. And then I have to give it to Majahal, Kent Williams, Takeya Hoshi. Like I said before, great villain for this episode, lost in his own madness, can't see the love of his life in front of him, because he only remembers how she was before. He can't move on.
Yeah.
He couldn't move on. So when Majahal truly died was when he thought she died. That's when he truly died, because he went into madness and grief. And he calls, when he captures Edward and Alphonse, when Edward refuses him, he calls him stubborn. And I'm like, something tells me you say he's stubborn like his father because once you lost Karin, he knew what you wanted to do, and as we know, Hohenheim knows the dangers of this, so he wasn't going to give you what he wanted. And Edward, who's like his father in turn, and rightfully so, wouldn't do it either because that's absolute madness. And those are mine, Jarek. How about you?
You know, for number one, I'm going to give it to both the ladies who did Klaus and Karin.
Since we already mentioned Charlotte Dupont and Akiko Yujime, Levy, Ellen Losi, and Karine Komiya, if I wrote that down correct.
Because honestly, both of them did great. Like the girl who did Klaus, really great as both the angry girl, defiant, after her sister got killed, but. Then after the day is saved and the Elrics, like, I told him, it's like, Edward's got a new girlfriend.
Yeah.
You better watch out, Winry. There's a dark-skinned tomboy, and she wants that alchemy D.
Yeah.
And she was cute, too, man. Once she was happy that the bad guy was caught and she had these new friends, it was great, because I've actually kind of seen this in real life. Like, tomboys, once, they make that one friend... Yeah, they can be incredibly fucking cute. That's actually why Ozaru Subaru is one of the most popular Hololive girls, really. And then, like, with Karin, like, just the sadness, the desperation, the trying so hard to get Majahal's attention, after everything. And just the sadness in her voice when he refuses to believe it's her one last time. It really drives home just how much love can be warped.
Well, and especially in English where he looks at the puppet and goes, Karin, I'm coming for you, thinking she's still dead and refuses to believe that that's her in front of her. I will, not to do it, and if you have one more, I'll let you get in a minute, Jarek, but I will mention on a side note, Ellen Losi's scream in English was really good, but I have to give it to Karine Komiya. That Japanese scream, that sent chills down my spine. So Ellen Losi's was good, and you felt the anguish, but Karine Komiya, when she screamed, it was a wail, and you could obviously tell they had to probably downplay the audio for that, because, it was a fade out, but something tells me when she did that in the booth, she probably gave that her all, because damn, that sounded harrowing.
Really, babe, explore the space. But yeah, man, she went full Juno on that scream. Which, that was the ring for you non-weeaboos. And as for my second, of course, it's going to be Majahal.
Thank you.
Dear God, this guy was almost as much of a sycophant as that priest from the first episode.
Yeah. Well, and since you said it too, what I loved about it is, since I mentioned how it was, I know the Japanese one was Takeya Hoshi, who was reserved and very well done when he went nuts, but Ken Williams, you want to talk about another veteran, Ken Williams, who, like we talked about, is not only father in Brotherhood, but Majahal in this one, he's also the Elder Kai in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, and if any of you remember the Elder Kai, he's an even bigger goofball in Xenoverse 2 than he was in the anime.
Yes.
And I fucking love him for it.
Well, I love him for it too, absolutely.
Hey, he pisses off the Supreme Kai of Time, so he's good with me.
Yeah. And it's just like, so, those were all the things. And, final thoughts, I just have to say, entertaining episode, great episode. Loved it all the way through. I won't say it was perfect, and like I said, it didn't move the needle too much, but it was a nice looking into the mirror of what the Elrics could have become. And it's the beginning of the rabbit hole that they go down that's like, are we doing the right thing necessarily here? So, it's just like, hey.
It kind of, in a sense, reminds me of like a very long, awesome version of like the parable of Orpheus in the Underworld, where you go out to do this one good thing, you go deeper and deeper down the hole, and you realize this was a big fucking mistake.
Oh yeah.
And then you spend the rest of your life trying to clean it up.
Well, and again, it's like, that's what I loved about it. It really shows that well. And that's what I love about the original. Then again, I will say, I'm pretty sure people still know the original, and I will say by you guys who watch our videos, you're knowing that too, because I notice how even the original videos are getting just as many looks and views as my Brotherhood ones. But again, I love that, so it shows how a lot of people have not forgotten, or at least I'm hoping you guys haven't forgotten about the original. I hope you're not clicking on these thinking this is still Brotherhood, because I would put it in the title. But yeah, this is the original show, and again, why I like it, because there are differences, but like I say, where, again, don't hate Brotherhood. I like Brotherhood, but where it's the romanticized, this is more the Journeyman's Tale, and I like the Journeyman's Tale a little more. Like I said, this is only the 4th episode, so far that's how good this has been.
You know how else we could say that?
What?
There are differences, more than a few, but also similarities. Sure, you don't have the action of the other one, but you certainly have his heart.
Yep.
God bless you, last episode, Amanda Waller. You were great in that.
Yep, absolutely. And, what do you guys think, though? Just leave a comment for us down below. Do you like this episode? Do you like what we have shown with as I'm grabbing too many things here, of this show? Again, have you guys even seen it? Just, let us know down below, and we'll see you again in the next review. Until then, deuces.